Here we go. Episode 40 of the Hardline Sports Talk. I am Michael Merlo. John Michael Masseri is with me. Wow, do we have a lot to do? But JM, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Let's go. You pick out your Halloween costume yet? Because I've been looking and I'm trying to figure it out. Dude, time's ticking. We got like less than 2 weeks.
What do you mean a Halloween costume?
Because, I always, every year, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a really good costume. And like, I had a pretty good one last year, but like, I don't want to, I hate slacking on Halloween. I hate like.
What were you for Halloween last year?
I was Post Malone. I had like the fake tattoos. I was all in. But then you got those years where you have like don't be that guy who wears a football jersey. You're like, oh, I'm Saquon Barkley. You're not Saquon Barkley. You're a 300-pound white guy who, thinks you're Saquon Barkley.
Oh, so me last year when I was delivering pizza.
Yeah.
Literally me. That's what I do. No, last year I wore Victor Cruz.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I see the resemblance between you two. That's a good
I look like him. Yeah.
Yeah. He dead ringer.
Yeah, no, but I'm, no Halloween costume.
Oh, okay, good. That's very festive of you. Halloween's a great holiday.
I actually hate Halloween.
How do you hate Halloween? Like,
because it falls like I'm sitting here getting ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you got this BS.
You don't have to get ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I'm getting my hopes
Christmas,
up
yeah. No, you have to get ready for Christmas. I agree with that. Thanksgiving, there's no Thanksgiving music. There's no Christmas. There's no presents under the tree. You just wake up and eat turkey.
I mean, it's basically Christmas at this point. I mean, if you're not listening to Christmas music, you're lost.
A little early.
You saw me last week.
Yeah. No, I'm all about the Christmas spirit, but a little bit early. Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
When is it appropriate?
I mean, I like to wait after Thanksgiving at least.
No, you can't go that late.
All right, at least go after Halloween.
November. Like November, it's full blown. Like, it's cold outside. You're feeling it.
Okay.
You want to talk?
Are we going to talk about sports today? Yeah.
Let's talk some sports. Let's talk what I think is the most watched game of the day yesterday, because God knows nobody was watching Geno Smith and the Steelers. If you were, I'm very sorry. The most watched game of the day yesterday was the Cowboys and the Patriots, which ended in dramatic fashion. Interesting spread, right? I was intrigued by the spread. I took the bait and took the Patriots. And I kind of I heard this today. I feel like I was right taking them because it was a close game. It did go into overtime. The Cowboys should have won by a couple of points. They didn't. They got the 2-point conversion. They go to overtime. They beat them on the big CeeDee Lamb play from Dak Prescott. It was like 40-yard touchdown. The play action. He rolls out to the right. He's got CeeDee wide open. And Dak actually hurts his calf on that play.
Is Trayvon Diggs? Trayvon Diggs. I'm sorry, I was looking at his stats. What's the spread? What was it? 3.5 or 5.5?
It was 3.5.
It was 3.5. Okay, yeah. I picked the Cowboys, but I mean, Vegas was right. I thought that line was too small. Actually, I thought Dallas was going to win by at least a touchdown.
Well, Vegas is never wrong. So, but Dak Prescott gets hurt on that play, on the last play. He hurt his calf. They're saying he's fine. All early indications that he's good. But it was an interesting game, to say the least. I mean, they made a ton of mistakes, a lot of penalties. And listen, really good teams go on the road against good defenses, make mistakes, and still win games. And that's what the Cowboys are.
Yeah, you're right. First, I want to actually touch on the Patriots because I was impressed by Mac Jones yesterday. He didn't do anything super special, anything crazy, but he basically played to his scouting report is what I would say. He didn't make the crazy plays, but the accuracy was there, and he was getting a little bit of bad luck where his receivers weren't making the plays for him. Nelson Aguilar made a bad drop late in the game. Like, we haven't seen that before out of Nelson Aguilar. But yeah, you're right. The sloppy game out of the Cowboys, and the Patriots played pretty well. I think this is basically what the Patriots are. I think they're a team that lost some pieces, and they're they have the young quarterback. They're kind of trying to retool, I guess, at this point. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, and it doesn't look like they're going to be a playoff team, but we're still early in the season. But yeah, switching over to the Cowboys side, Dak Prescott continues to impress me week after week. I mean, I picked this guy to win the MVP before the season started, and he looks like an MVP every time he goes out there. I mean, he looks so poised out there, and the offensive line hasn't played, the way they have maybe in years past for Dak. They haven't been bad, but they haven't been the way they usually are. And, he takes the hits. He scrambles. He He throws under pressure, and it's just a fun offense to watch.
Yes. They're better run blocking so far this season.
Yeah.
They are getting Lyle Collins back. He was just reinstated today, so he'll be back next week. But, people talk about this Dallas defense not being good enough. And, I think it was evident last year. They were historically one of the worst defenses ever. And they almost made the playoffs. They ended up being competitive at the end of the year, even with losing Dak. And this is a better defense. They have Dan Quinn. Trayvon Diggs has been, a lot of people are hating on him. Listen, he's been good. He's very athletic. I've heard a lot of hate, especially today, that he gives up a lot of yards. The stats I'm seeing, low completion percentage against him, low passer rating against him, passes defended, and the interceptions. The stats I'm looking at, I'm not looking at the yards against him. I'm looking at those. He looks like he's been a very good corner so far this year. But the defense has impressed me because they're playing better than I expected. Randy Gregory looks good.
Yeah.
He looks like he's been pretty good. And
he's a guy who's had a very up and down career.
I've been surprised by how good he's been. They're going to get Dexter Lawrence back in a month. I mean, they're not a great
DeMarcus Lawrence.
What did I say?
Dexter.
Oh, sexy Dexy.
Yeah.
They're going to get him back. And the impressive part about this team is that they have such a good offensive line. They control the game. They run the ball. They do whatever they want. And obviously, their pass are so balanced. They're going to control the time of possession. And the defense just has to be opportunistic. They just have to make plays and create some turnovers. And they're going to be in every single game because of how good that offense is. I think they're the 6th best team in all football right now.
Right. And you said it, this team, they don't really have a weakness. They can run the ball down your throat. They can throw it all over the field. That offense is down pat. And like you were just talking about the defense, this team was atrocious defensively last year. And, I think a lot of that has to go to Trayvon Diggs and to Micah Parsons, guys who have stepped up big for them. And I think another big part of that goes to the defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn. I mean, a guy who was in Seattle as a defensive coordinator, then came over to Atlanta to be the head coach, went to a Super Bowl with them, and then had a bad couple years, which led to his firing, but looked at as a great defensive coordinator. And I think he's proving that well this year. And they don't need this defense to be a top 10 defense if they want to go far. They need it to be maybe middle of the pack, and they'll be fine because of how dynamic this offense is. I mean, they're putting up 500 yards of offense basically every week. I think it's like 4 weeks in a row or something.
Yeah.
So
if they're a middle of the pack defense, they're very dangerous.
Right. Oh, and they're going to run away with this division. I mean, not even looking back, they are going to win this division by 5 games or more, like easy.
Yeah.
What's the second place team going to look like? Maybe it's the Eagles. I guess they look the best out of those 3. The football teams look horrible.
Their schedule's easier than the football team.
Right. So what do the Eagles get? Like 6 or 7 wins?
7 and 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the Cowboys
schedule is soft.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys, this is an 11 or 12 win team. So like I said,
I think more.
5 games. Yeah. Why not? They're 5-1. They've beaten some really good teams. They've beaten the Chargers, which was a huge win. And you can make an argument, obviously, that they could be 6-0, but they lost. But
they played well in the game.
Maybe 30 seconds more, less off the clock. They're 6-0. Tom Brady doesn't drive down the field and beat them by a field goal. So, really like and want to see out of Dallas.
Their one loss is a very good loss, as we like to say in college. Sometimes it's a good loss, and you're right. They're right there,
right.
30 seconds away from beating one of the teams considered to be one of the best in football.
And, this is,
you're right about them.
I think a really good part of their offense is, you want to talk about Cooper and Zeke and CeeDee Lamb, and obviously Dak. But in terms of the weapons, Tony Pollard, Dalton Schultz, and Cedric Wilson are all 3 really good guys for this team who have stepped up and played their roles. And I hate how some people like to make it a criticism or make it a bad thing that Dallas has 2 really good running backs. Like Tony Pollard's looked very well. How is that a problem? Zeke is Zeke. Zeke's been having a phenomenal season, and you have a double-edged sword with Tony Pollard. He's a guy that can come in for Zeke, get you. He's averaging like 6 yards a carry. He has a lot of burst. He's dynamic in other ways. Like, that is not a bad thing for them to have.
A lot of successful teams, and I made this argument when the Giants took a running back at number 2. I went and looked at history. And when you look at history, teams win Super Bowls, successful offenses work when you have two running backs, not one running back. And Zeke's the workhorse, Zeke's the lead guy, but it's really nice when you have another guy like Tony Pollard, like you just said, to come in there, change the tempo, give the running back a break. It just works. It's better. It's proven that it's better. So you don't need one guy. You can use two. And Dallas is lucky they have a star running back in Zeke, and they got another guy that could be possibly a star if he was the main guy.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's not even besides the running back part. In terms of just focusing on one player on an offense, like you said, the Giants with Saquon, they, forcing the ball down his throat. I guess the only exception is really Derrick Henry with the Titans, but they haven't gone to the Super Bowl. You don't really want to surround your offense around one player besides the quarterback. You don't want to surround it around one weapon, because eventually you can get far, but you're not going to get all the way. And, we've seen it with the Titans. They've fallen short a couple of times. And, now they have a couple other weapons, but their passing game has looked dreadful, honestly. And it looks dreadful right now in this game. But yeah, I like we said, really like what I'm seeing out of the Cowboys. I think this team is a legit, I don't think I'm crazy saying this, legit Super Bowl contender at this point. Dak Prescott is a legit MVP candidate. I mean, he's had one game where he had no touchdowns, and the other 5, he had 3 or more. So
that's unbelievable.
Really loving what I'm seeing out of the Cowboys.
Listen, I'm a Giants fan. It pains me to say it. I know a lot of haters of the Cowboys are not saying it. They are one of the at the least 7 best teams in football.
Yeah.
I'd say they're 6. I think they're better than the Cardinals.
Top 3 team in the NFC. Or top 4 team, I'd say, in the NFC.
4.
I think top 5. The NFC is loaded. I think
they're better than the Cardinals.
I think the Cardinals, I might have to agree with you there. I think they might be better than the Cardinals, but I got to kind of respect the Cardinals because they're 6-0 and they've beaten some good teams. So, and I don't even know if they're better than the Cardinals, but I'll give it to the Cardinals. I'll give it to the Bucks. I'll give it to the Rams, and I'll give it to the Packers. So I'll put them 5 in the NFC.
NFC's loaded.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 teams better than them in the AFC.
Ravens
and Bills.
And Bills, yes.
So the Bills are the best team in football.
Mm-hmm. Ravens might be the best. There's a lot of good teams in football right now.
The Ravens could be the best team. I think they're 3rd. I think the Ravens are 3rd. Let's talk about the Ravens, because that's a game I had on my list here. I want to talk about them. I thought that this was going to be the game of the week. I thought you could have put this on 4:25 on CBS or Fox or 8:20 on NBC, and this would have been the highest rated game of the day. It was on at 1 o'clock on CBS, and thank God it was, because it was a blowout, 34-6. The Ravens beat the Chargers, and I picked the Ravens. I thought this was a pretty easy bet here with -3, but I thought it'd be a competitive game, and Herbert just had nothing, and it kind of felt that way. A young team off a huge win, playing so well, going to on the road on the East Coast, playing a team that's been so good for a while now, really, and a really good head coach. And that's what happens against a young team, young coach, young quarterback. And one of the things I'm most impressed with John Harbaugh, who I had high on my head coach rating before the season started, 16 guys on the IR.
Yep.
Most in the NFL. And they are, like we just said, a top 3 team in the NFL. So shout out to John Harbaugh. He's doing a phenomenal job. Shout out to Lamar Jackson, the fastest quarterback to 35 wins in NFL history. I was wrong on him. He's fantastic and a fun watch. And the Ravens are rolling right now.
Yeah, the Ravens are rolling. And, I think this kind of emphasizes that running back, it's a nice thing to have, but it's not a position that's going to make you win or lose at the end of the day if you're lacking in that department, because I think the Ravens are a special case, obviously, because you have the threat of the run in your quarterback. But, they losing J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, that's unfortunate. And maybe, it doesn't – the offense would be a little more dynamic. But, they're not really missing a beat. And – we love to criticize Marquise Brown, and he had a quiet game yesterday. But we love to criticize Marquise Brown for all the drops and everything like that. But when you look at his overall body of work this year, you'll take those couple drops if you're also going to get those big plays where he scores a 50-yard touchdown. And he's had a pretty impressive season so far. So Rashad Bateman, has he played a game yet? I don't believe so, right?
If he played one, I saw something about why he wasn't added in enough fantasy leagues today. I don't know if he's played or not. I gotta
Okay.
look.
And Mark Andrews has been Mark Andrews to them, a really solid red zone threat, and guy.
Slow start, but he's come alive here for
Yes.
that. He's since they
Um.
really started to play well offensively, he's been
Yeah.
getting hot.
And then about the Chargers, the Chargers, I'm definitely still a believer in them. I think this game is a bit of an anomaly because I think this was an awful matchup for the Chargers. I mean, you're going against the best. The Chargers have the worst run defense in the NFL, and you're going against the number one team in rush yards in the NFL, and that's what happened. In terms of the offensive side, that's a concern. They didn't put up that many points, but is it a big concern? No. Teams have bad weeks. The Ravens have a very good defense, like you said, on the road. The Ravens also dominated the clock because they run the ball so much. So, Austin Eckler didn't have a typical week. Justin Herbert didn't have a typical week. All their best players, no, but I'm still the Chargers still have a definite shot to win this division, and I think they're still going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I'm still high on the Chargers. I love Herbert and Brandon Staley over there. Lamar didn't play like incredible. If you look at his numbers, they weren't great. So I think that's one of the concerns. Like Lamar didn't play so well, and they still beat you by almost 30 points. But I'm with you. I think this team's going to be fine. Obviously, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're actually going to win this division. And if they played again, these two teams, I think it'll be closer. I think the Chargers are. I think the Chargers are the third best team in the AFC. I still think that after this game. Yeah, the third best team in the AFC,
yeah.
Right? So yeah, they're gonna be fine. This game will be closer if they play again. I mean, they would like to play this one in LA and not on the East Coast, but hey, you never know. It'll probably be if they played in the playoffs, it would probably be in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You're right. Austin Eckler was not good. Herbert was not good. The defense is going to have to step up. They're going to have to figure something out. Brandon Staley is a defensive coach. He was defensive coordinator with the Rams. He's going to have to figure something out, a defensive scheme to stop the Ravens, because if they're going to make a run at all, if they want to be a great elite team, they're going to have to beat this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very odd to look at the stats that Lamar Jackson put up and see that they won by this much. I mean, 167 yards, 2 picks, and a touchdown. That's, you wouldn't imagine that they won by 28 points. So, but that's what happens when you have a team that can run the ball up and down the field.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's been like a little quiet so far.
Yeah, he has. Mike Williams has been
kind of taken
show.
over. Mike Williams is consistent, but he's kind of taken over. Eckler did not play well, like you said. You're right. This is more of an anomaly than it's like the Packers week 1. It's like,
right. Teams have bad games like that all the time.
I think they'll be fine.
Just like how the Ravens had a bad week 1 when they lost to Las Vegas on the road.
Yeah, they didn't get crushed. I mean,
no, I know, but I'm saying that they're clearly a better team than Las Vegas.
Well, Las Vegas is a bunch of frauds.
Okay.
4-2 frauds. Let's stick in the division here. I want to go to the Browns and the Cardinals. The Cardinals, who without their head coach, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, everything. Any big time coach you can imagine, they were without. They were without Chandler Jones. They go to Cleveland, and Cleveland is regarded as one of the better teams in the AFC, and just dominate the Browns. And the Browns were banged up too.
No Nick Chubb.
But come on, man. You lose like that at home?
Yeah.
Baker, are you kidding me?
I mean, I think at this point, Baker's holding this team back, if you ask me. I mean,
yeah,
this guy has had countless opportunities, all the weapons in the world, the O-lines, the defenses. And, he just hasn't stepped up to the table. And I got to say, I expected him to step up this year, and he isn't. And, now he's got the injury of the shoulder. He re-injured it yesterday. Pretty nasty collision with the ground that he had, actually. A lot of pressure that he put on that shoulder. But, this is what the Browns this is who they risked their franchise on a couple years ago. And it's not really paying off right now. And, I think at the end of the season, if the Browns don't have the season they envisioned and Baker still doesn't play well, I think it's time to move on. And you look for either a draft prospect or go try and sign somebody in free agency. Aaron Rodgers' name might be getting thrown around in trades and whatnot, or opt out, whatever he's got going on. But not good. I mean, this team, the Browns, they're supposed to have a dominant defense. Did not look like that yesterday. I mean, the Cardinals picked them apart. In their defense, it's not like the Browns were exactly dominating the time of possession and giving them opportunities to get off the field and be put in good field position on defense. But Baker, it's now or never, man. You injuries, whatnot. This is the year. No more excuses.
A lot of excuses have been made for Baker Mayfield over his career, and I'm kind of sick of them because I've been critical of him throughout his career because I didn't think he deserved to be the number one pick. I thought he was a first-round pick. I thought he was even a top 10 pick. I did not think he deserved to be the first pick in that draft. And we've seen, especially last year, and I was killed for this, that I still thought Baker Mayfield was a game manager, and he was playing well, and he's put up, big games here. But I still believe that. And Baker Mayfield needs everything to be perfect for him. He needs the offensive line to be healthy and going. He needs the running game to be efficient. And he needs his defense to keep the opposing team's offense off the field. And when all of those things are not clicking, Baker Mayfield is not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you're the number one overall pick, we've seen it with Trevor Lawrence early in his career. This guy is, even though they have one win, he's stepping up. He's not afraid to make throws, and he's making, pretty nice plays. I think Lawrence has looked pretty good so far, considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
But he's the number one overall pick. All of these things shouldn't have to go right for you to succeed. No. And when they don't go right, you're not succeeding. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think they've invested too much. I'm happy that they haven't paid him yet. I don't know how they will move off of him here, but they have to look for a plan here to possibly get another quarterback because this roster is too good. It's such a loaded roster. They are too good to waste all this talent.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're in a window right now. Guys are going to start coming off the books. Or guys are going to have to be put on the books in big numbers when you talk
Baker's
about
one of those guys.
When you talk about Baker and you talk about Denzel Ward and certain, young guys on this team. And you're right. Yeah, Baker hasn't stepped up to the plate. And it's odd because when he came in as a rookie, that game against the Jets on Thursday Night Football, when he came in that game and all of a sudden it's like a switch flipped and the Browns were looking like a pretty good team. He looked like he had good control of the offense and, just looked like he didn't really look like a rookie. And, there were obviously hiccups and there still are hiccups with Baker, but you really felt, after that rookie season, he had a phenomenal rookie year. We almost won did he win the offensive rookie of the year? I think he did, right?
No, Saquon won.
Saquon won? Okay. But you felt like this guy might be the answer moving forward. The Browns might have finally found their quarterback. And, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't say he's not a bust, but
for a number one pick, he's a bust.
He's not a boom either. He's not. If he leaves this offseason and you're looking for another quarterback, then yeah, he's a bust, especially with the first overall pick. You didn't, at the end of the day, you failed. You didn't find your franchise quarterback. Yes, you made it to the playoffs. Who knows? I think they're still going to make it this year, but, you had a couple playoff runs and whatnot. You went from rags to riches, technically. But at the end of the day, you didn't get it done. You didn't find your franchise quarterback.
Let's give some credit here to the Arizona Cardinals for doing what they did.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals scored 37 points in Cleveland without a head coach, without an offensive coordinator. They had guys taking turns calling plays over there. They were unbelievable. They've been unbelievable. I haven't given them enough credit. And maybe I'm still not because I don't think they're one of the 5 best teams in football. But Kyler Murray has been exceptional. The offensive line has played better than I thought. The mistakes have been limited, especially since the beginning of this season. And they have somewhat of a ground game. They're able to be balanced. And again, Kyler Murray is just able to make plays. And their receiver, DeAndre Hopkins has been great. AJ Green has stepped up for them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Christian Kirk. And they just traded for Zach Ertz now, who I think will be an upgrade over Max Williams and whoever they had. This is looking really, really good for the Cardinals and their defense. Chandler Jones out last week, but he's been playing pretty well so far this season. And JJ Watt Had a good game in Cleveland. He's been better than I ever thought he would be over there.
Yeah. And, this Cardinals team, you just mentioned a couple names. They're kind of a mixture of veterans and young players because you have your Kyler Murrays and your Chase Edmonds and your Isaiah Simmons and Budda Baker, guys like that. And then you look at J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones and Zach Ertz and DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green. So a lot of veterans on that team too. And I think that helps Zach Ertz, like you said, James Conner. I think that helps you out when you have veteran leadership and guys who can still, have been around for a while and can still play at a high level. This team has been a surprise. They're 6-0. I don't think anybody really saw that coming. Kyler Murray has played well, maybe something a lot of people saw coming. That's not really much of a surprise, but the rest of the team kind of coming together and, the offensive line, like you mentioned, that's a surprise. And I think this team is setting themselves up, obviously, very well for a chance to win this division and a chance to even at some point we got to start talking first round bye. I wouldn't get there yet. There's a lot of teams with 5-1 records or who are right there, but they've beaten some really good teams, the Cardinals. This isn't no Steelers, we're beating the Jaguars and the Broncos by 2 points and we were 11-0 or whatnot. They're 6-0 and they've beaten the 49ers. They've beaten the Browns,
the Rams.
They've beaten the Rams. Like they have some really nice victories under their belt. So this team's going to have a really legit shot to win this division and make a deep postseason run.
Yeah, I think, and I'm including myself in this, where I not enough people have given them enough credit. And I'm a big Kyler Murray guy, you know that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I had them finishing third in this division.
I had them fourth at 8-9. They're about to eclipse that win total.
Yeah,
it's been interesting. Kyler again. He's a fun watch, and I don't know if I'm rooting for them, but I'm always pulling for Kyler. Kyler's my guy.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite stories, surprisingly, of the day. Let's move over to the Packers and the Bears. You know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. He's not my favorite guy. He's actually grown on me a little bit, but he's not my favorite guy. This yesterday was unfreaking believable what he did to those Bears fans. Well, the Packers beat the Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago, 24-14. They beat Justin Fields. They kind of kept it close a little bit, but ultimately the Packers finish out strong. And there was a touchdown in which Aaron Rodgers pump fakes, runs to the corner of the end zone, gets in. He shoved late a little bit, no flag. But as he's getting up, he looks at the fans in like the corner of the end zone, and he's getting middle fingers, double birds. And he's screaming at them, I own you. I've always owned you. I still own you. And I was like, that is amazing. I hate the Bears. For whatever reason, I hate the Bears.
Yeah, I don't like
that. Was amazing. I love that. What a boss moment right there for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and he has a right to talk shit, like this team.
Yeah, he does.
He's 21-5 against the Bears all time. I mean, he's had a 6 touchdown game against the Bears. He's sent the Bears home in the in the race for the division. We remember that from years ago, the touchdown to Randall Cobb at Soldier Field. So yeah, the Aaron Rodgers has a right to talk to Bears fans and say that. And, I think it's clear this guy's at a point in his career where he doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. He's going to be move to the beat of his own drum kind of a thing. He does not care. And like I said, 21-5. He's just absolutely dominated Chicago. He's dominated this division for years. And the Packers are where they are every year. This is a team with an explosive offense, with a great quarterback. Who's going to be contending this year?
Yeah, the only surprise I had yesterday was the fact that it was only a 10-point game. I thought they were going to kill him. Right. And Justin Fields kind of showed, he showed a couple of flashes, but overall showed that he was a rookie quarterback, still learning. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a big believer in Justin Fields, but hey, he won a couple of games.
Yeah, throw he made on the run where he threw a pick basically, but it was out of bounds. He overthrew it by 10 yards. But yes, he's a rookie mistakes. Like you said, I agree with you.
He thought he got the offsides and he chucked it downfield and it was a pick. That was terrible.
I agree with you. I'm not a big believer in Justin Fields. Justin Fields, the prospect I'm not a huge fan of. I think he, in certain situations, could have success, but I think with Matt Nagy and this organization, I don't see this ending well.
The fit, yeah, I think that's it. The fit in the organization doesn't make sense
because
like he would have fit in with the Patriots.
He has some nice traits. Obviously, we know how the legs are. He can throw. He can evade pressure, scramble, and whatnot. And he has a strong arm. He's a good deep thrower. But I want to point out something, and I noticed it when I was watching this game yesterday. The announcers made a comment. Justin Fields rolled out to his right a little bit, looked around, nobody was open, and then he scrambled all the way to the left and ended up getting a gain. And they were talking about how, look at that, look at the way he can use his legs and escape the pocket and whatnot. But looking at that play, I actually disagreed. I saw that as a bad play because, yes, he got lucky and was able to escape, but I've noticed a tendency with him, and I think a lot of rookie quarterbacks do this, where he's holding on to the ball for too long. And listen, at one point, you got to run or throw it away. He waited a solid couple of seconds looking around, and he was lucky that nobody came around from his blind side and sacked him, because without that, he's able to scramble. But if that does happen, there's a strip sack, there's a sack of whatever, a hit. He gets hit as he throws, whatever. You got to get the ball out. That's not going to fly in the NFL. You can't just sit back there for 4 seconds and then decide, now I'm going to scramble out.
Yeah. You're right. Again, he showed his inexperience. You're 100% right. You could get away with something like that maybe in college, but not in the NFL, not all the time. Joe Davis and Greg Olson, by the way, on the call yesterday. Joe Davis, my new favorite broadcaster in all sports.
Back to the Cardinals game, because you just brought up broadcasting. Maybe it's because I'm a Jet fan and I have a tendency to hate Mark Sanchez because he was just so bad at the end, but I think he's an awful commentator. Listening to him yesterday and the week before he did the 49ers game, it's very hard to listen to him.
Yeah, I think he's more suited for a studio type show.
Agreed. Just like A-Rod. I think A-Rod works better in that. I think there's guys like that, the former players, that work better in studios.
And that's fine because, not to go off topic, but A-Rod with, Frank Thomas and David Ortiz, he's funny. He's funny. It's fun. It's entertaining. Mark Sanchez, I think, even did a couple of shows with the college pregame with Fox, and he was good. He's got some insight, but he could be entertaining. So, yeah, I don't like him either in the broadcast booth. I think Greg Olson is good.
Yeah, I like Greg Olson.
Greg Olson's very good, actually. And he just started in this, so he's definitely somebody to watch. But
they should just put Gus Johnson on every game.
You're not gonna believe me. I don't love Gus Johnson. I think
you not love Gus Johnson.
I don't know what it is about his voice. Too excited. His voice doesn't feel big time. Joe Davis. He does the Dodger games. Yeah. He did playoff games. He did the Packer game. He has a big game voice. I don't know what it's about. I can't even tell you what it is. He just has a big game voice.
All right.
Buck has a big game voice.
Fair enough.
I don't know. It's weird. It's a feeling. It's all, you know what? As long as they do, Gus Johnson does a fine job. To me, it's just about not liking its opinion. He does do a good job, Gus Johnson. He's into the game. He's, he doesn't mess anything up. It's just opinion based. I know a lot of people that love him.
Right.
People, why was this a topic again? Why did this become a topic where, people argue whether or not Devontae Adams is the best receiver in football? What is that argument? Come on. I'm going to be honest with you. This might sound like, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't think it's close. Who's 2? Hopkins?
Yeah, no.
The gap between 1 and 2 is big.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I think Devontae is number 1, but I wouldn't say there's a gap. I mean, Hopkins is otherworld. I think you could maybe say I don't know. I think maybe you could say there's a gap after Hopkins. I think you could group Adams and Hopkins in the same category. Speaking about putting these players in these certain tiers or whatever, can we take Pat Mahomes off the pedestal finally and put him in the same group as some of these other guys? Because guess what, people? He is human. It's okay. I can put a graphic up before the season saying Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league, and then put Pat Mahomes 2 now, and nobody's gonna go crazy because
you got
guess
killed
what?
For that.
I did get killed for that, and I look right at this point. I mean, Pat Mahomes threw 2 interceptions yesterday, which playing backyard football like he does. He made some nice, and Pat Mahomes is otherworldly talented, but let's stop acting like this guy is so far and beyond everybody else.
Yeah, he played pretty well yesterday. 68% completion, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. One of those interceptions one of them was a drop pass from Tyreek Hill, wasn't his fault. The other one is like unforgivable.
Yeah,
he was going down. He literally just like moved his arm. I don't know what his deal is, Patrick Mahomes. I guess he thinks a sack is worse than a turnover, but he has to take these sacks. A lot of these interceptions I'm seeing this season are him as he's going down, letting the ball go. Go down with the football.
Right. I mean,
sack is not the worst thing.
I mean, he's on pace for 22 interceptions right now. Like, pump the freaking brakes. Everybody wants to just, come out and grab your throat and be like, what the hell are you talking about? Please. Pat Mahomes is good, but let's not do this with the way Tom Brady and everything like that, where we just want to put this guy on number one and leave him there and nobody can touch him. These guys are human. They're not robots and are going to put out the same stats year after year. Ratings move around, stats move around, standings move around. Like, pump the brakes on Pat Mahomes. He is a first ballot Hall of Fame talent, one of the greatest arm talents I've ever seen. He's not Superman.
I'm going to say this. I think he's going to correct these mistakes and go back on that pedestal. That's my
if this guy ends up throwing, 45 touchdowns this year or 50 touchdowns, whatever, I won't be surprised. He's Pat Mahomes. He's fantastic.
I think by the end of the year, he'll be the best quarterback.
But, my point also is, why is it – I'm getting too caught up in my list, but I just want – Aaron Rodgers had 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions last year. He literally had the best season of his career, which people think that he is – some people think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And he had 48 touchdowns, 5 picks, over 120 passer rating. But me saying Pat Mahomes is second below him is crazy. Whatever. I rest my case. I'm done.
Don't let the haters get to your head there.
Mm-hmm. It's all narratives. It's so stupid.
I'm a big Pat Mahomes guy. Also a big Josh Allen guy.
Oh, wait. Before Josh Allen. Did you see what Pat Mahomes' brother did?
Yeah, let's calm down.
No, come on. That's pretty bad.
No, you know what's bad, JM? The fact that disgusting organization uses Sean Taylor's retirement day as a, blocking what was about to come out in those emails that they were investigating with the owners. That's what's terrible. That's what should be talked about.
I mean, they're one of the worst run organizations in the sport.
No. They are the most disgusting organization in sports.
Right.
They are terrible. They've had creeps and terrible human beings running the organization, owners, Dan Snyder, and it's just absolutely disgusting. They should have got blasted for that. And you know what they're about to do, right? They're gonna come out with that investigation. They're gonna come out with the evidence, and they're gonna drop the name on us. They're gonna say we're the Washington Red Wolves.
Yeah.
And idiots in the media are gonna say, oh, well, this came out, but let's talk about the Red Wolves and how they're going to be this. And what do we think of the name? That's what they're going to do. They are disgusting. Sean Taylor's number should have been retired, years ago. And the fact that it wasn't retired is whatever. But now you do it. You announce it on a Thursday before. Come on. You can't make it more obvious.
I mean, the Mets should have taken a page out of their book. When the thing about Zach, what's his name again? I forget his name. The old guy who got fired because he was a creep.
The Mets?
Yeah, the GM.
Oh, Zach
Scott?
Porter.
Oh, Jared Porter,
Jared Porter.
Yeah. When that stuff came out, they should have been, we're the New York Mustangs or whatever, or let's retire Carlos Delgado's number today or something stupid. But that is just timing, guys, really. And you announce it 3 days before the game. Come on. And why now? Like, what is the significance of now with the timetable with Sean Taylor? Why would you do it 20 years later?
They literally issued an apology.
It should have been done years ago.
They're terrible. They are terrible people. whatever. He should, and you know what? It's funny because you shouldn't even force him to sell the team because they're worth almost $3 billion. So Dan Snyder sells the team. Oh, okay. He's a billionaire and he's already a billionaire and he becomes even richer. So it's like you're not punishing him by making him sell the team.
Did anyone ever? Do you know if anyone's ever worn 21 since Sean Taylor?
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but because I know like the Marlins, nobody's worn 16 since Jose Fernandez died. They haven't retired the number yet, but whatever. Wow, we just talked a lot about football. Do we have any more games left to talk about? I mean, the Bills and the Titans are in halftime right now, so we're not going to be able to
Titans halftime, high scoring game. Bills defense, it's been great. They picked Tannehill off, but he doesn't. They haven't looked great.
Right.
I just want to rant about the Giants before we go, because we'll go to baseball. There's a lot going on. Baseball's hot. I got a lot to say. I got a full page here about the Giants. We're not going to get there.
Come on.
I'm not going to get to everything. I just need to get this off my chest because the New York Giants, and I'm not saying I expected a win. They lost 38-11 at home to the Rams. And as a Giants fan, it's the worst they have been in my life. This is, the biggest low point in my fandom. And it's pretty disgusting that nobody's been fired, that, and I know it's immature to say, but as a fan that's been suffering for 5 years watching the worst team in the sport, and I don't think this is crazy. The Giants since 2017 may be the worst franchise in all of sports. And if they're not, they're probably in the top 3 of that. That's not crazy to say.
How far off?
It's disgusting. They have an owner, JM. John Mara has to be put on the level of Jeff Wilpon and James Dolan. That's how bad he's been.
Mm-hmm.
He is so out of touch. He's so involved. He's a spineless clown. And he needs to back off. He needs to get rid of his friends in the front office. He has to hire people to help him hire the next general manager and whole front office, because everybody's got to go. It's toxic. They have to blow this whole thing up, and it's just so stressful talking about it.
Yeah, you're right. They do have to blow it up. Are you going to, now you're going to be looking for a head coach probably for the third, you've gone through McAdoo, you've gone through Shermer, you've gone through Judge, 2 years apiece, everybody, right?
Yeah.
You haven't had a coach make it into his third year since Tom Coughlin. So, maybe you ask Tom Coughlin, can you become like 20 years younger and do this for a while? Because we need you right now. But this old Joe Judge mantra,
it's up.
The military boot camp philosophy thing isn't really working, because these guys don't really look like they're going out there with a fire under their ass and are ready to, seize the day, because
they've quit on this team. They've quit on their coaches. They've quit on the fan base.
Yeah. And
it was clear yesterday. The fact that this clown Joe Judge left his quarterback in, it was just in concussion protocol a week, left him in the whole fourth quarter when the Rams took everybody out and they were down by 30. What the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to be an asshole with the media. Excuse my language. Bill Belichick is an idiot, right? Bill Belichick is wait, I'm sorry, I just read something. He's not an idiot. He's an a-hole. Yeah. Right. He's an a-hole with the media.
He has a right to be an a-hole with the media.
Because he's the greatest coach.
He has ever. 6 Super Bowls.
Now, Joe Judge cannot. He can't be like that because he's not the greatest coach ever. And he's so like. Also,
read the room. You're in New York. You're not in New England. The media will rip you apart.
Right. And he's like so. I'm looking for the word. He puts people down. Like he acts like he's smarter than everybody in the room. Like who's not smarter than you? You're 7-15 as an NFL head coach, and he thinks he's like the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it's so crazy that 6 games into the season, I'm turned off by Joe Judge because I love them, but I'm done.
And I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of midseason firings and everything like that. If I was a Giants fan, I would be disgusted right now. The fact that Dave Gettleman still has a job with the New York Giants.
I mean, that is Twitter all day.
That is absolutely ridiculous. Like, this guy should have been gone 2 years ago, if you ask me, and he's still still making decisions for this team.
And you know what's funny? It's that I didn't like the hire. I thought this was, again, Dave Gettleman was with the franchise early in his career. He had a tie to Ernie Accorsi, who was the guy that traded for Eli Manning. So, obviously we're hiring friends, we're hiring people that know each other in the organization or have a tie to the organization. Right. That's all we do. But I didn't like the hire. And you're right. Not only has Gettleman been here and been terrible, they've actually given him a chance to actually build something. 2 head coaches, a quarterback drafted, millions of dollars spent, including this offseason in which they spent over $100 million, and they are absolutely terrible. This was supposed to be a season where we took a step, where we were like, here is competence. Here is maybe 2022 season. We are competing for a playoff spot or, legitimately in the playoff race, where this season was, again, supposed to be the stepping stool with the new players and the money spent. No, it's not that. And it's going downhill. It's going downhill fast. Fans should not go to the games. They should not buy their merchandise. They should boycott this game because this is where we're at.
And, with Dave Gettleman, how about you don't hire people just based off word of mouth and resumes and everything like that? How about you hire a guy based off how you feel, how he's going to run your team, the connection you have with him, is everyone on the same page, the personality, his philosophies. Like, Dave Gettleman the puzzle piece just doesn't fit with him.
He's out of touch.
He's just out of touch. He is.
And now, a young, innovative general manager.
And now you're at that super depressing part where it's just like, well, what the hell do we do now? Because we've been talking about what we're building for the past 4 years, and now it's all crap.
You're going into another rebuild.
Who stays? Daniel Jones might be gone now. If the coach is gone and the GM's gone.
And now you have to pick
it. It could be a Sam Darnold situation where they're like, well, we don't want to, this guy's damaged goods. We don't want to help build this guy up. Saquon Barkley should be gone. Who's left? Andrew Thomas, Kenny Golladay, those guys, Kadarius Toney, obviously. But
they're staying.
Your key players, you're done.
Leonard Williams.
The guys who you wanted to make this rebuild after, Saquon and Daniel Jones, gone. So failure. But what can you do? You're not going to keep them around. It's pathetic, but it's pathetic. But that's the one thing about sports that's really hard to swallow when you're a fan of a team. You want to hire the right people and you want the good players in the building, but at the end of the day, you can't fire your owner. So you just got to deal with it.
He's on the level of Wilpon and Dolan. He's got to get out of the way. He inherited a fantastic franchise, a historic franchise.
Yep.
And he's put it to shit. And that's where we're at. All right. Enough of the depression. We've got playoff baseball to talk about when we get back after this.
Oh, shit.
Here we go. We are back. Episode 40, a big one here. 40 is a big number.
Oh, yeah. Almost as big as 50. Couple weeks, couple months, whatever.
We're already planning the big party. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be crazy.
Let's talk some playoff baseball. Who doesn't love some playoff baseball? It's the greatest thing. And when your team's in it, it's even better. I wouldn't know, though.
Must be nice.
Let's start with the Dodgers and the Braves. It's been an interesting series so far. The Atlanta Braves are up 2-0 as they beat the Los Angeles Dodgers Sunday night 5-4. They were down 4-2 in the eighth. Austin Reilly, who has just been freaking believable. He comes up clutch with a 2-run double in the bottom of the eighth off of Julio Urias. I'm almost positive. And then Eddie Rosario wins it in the ninth with an RBI single. And the Braves are sitting pretty up 2-0.
Yeah, they are. The Braves got off to a good start in this series last year. They went up 3-1 on the Dodgers, actually. But
2-0 and then 3-1.
Weren't able to close the deal. But, the Braves have come up with the timely hits. They've been able to string hits together, have rallies. So they're looking good. Now you have the challenge of going to LA and, one loss could swing momentum the other way. But there's nothing bad about winning the first 2 games of the series. You're in the driver's seat right now. The Dodgers have the pressure on them. So I like what I see out of the Braves. It's crazy to see where they are right now, considering they don't have the best player, Ronald Acuna Jr. But when you think about this Braves team, we think about the offense and Freddie Freeman and Ozzie Albies, and obviously, like I mentioned, Acuna, who's out, and now Austin Reilly. But credit to this pitching staff. They've done phenomenal so far in this series so far. Max Fried has been big for them the whole season. And Ian Anderson got pulled out early yesterday, but the bullpen came up big for them. And we've seen that. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Brian Snitker has had a tendency to pull his starters a little early in the postseason, and it's been working. That's kind of that analytical philosophy where you don't want to see your players, the pitchers, face the lineup a third time. And the bullpen's come up big. You have Will Smith is a guy who's had his struggles so far, who has had his struggles throughout the season, but as of late, he's been pitching well. There's more baseball to be played, but you gotta like what you see out of the Braves completely as a team so far.
Yeah, Max Fried is an ace. Charlie Morton's been great for them all year, and he's a big game pitcher. And Ian Anderson in his young career, other than Sunday night, he's been really good in the postseason. Ian Anderson's issue is getting out of the first inning, and he has long first innings. He gives up a couple of runs. That's been the MO this year, and he had a long one against the Braves Sunday. But I still trust him. But that's a nice 1-2-3 punch right there. And you said they're missing Acuna, and it's crazy and it's scary that they're doing this without him. But they're also missing Mike Soroka, who looked like he was going to be, an ace for this team, or a top end of the rotation guy, and he's been out all season. So it's very impressive what they've been doing. Credit to Brian Snitker. He's done a good job. To me, I think the MVP of this team is Austin Reilly, though.
Yeah.
And just how good he's been. It's really crazy. It's the home run on Saturday night, the big hit again on Sunday. He had the walk-off Saturday night, too. They're good. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
The Braves have been one of those teams over the years that they've had bullpen issues, and they're having guys in Luke Jackson stepping up. Tyler Matzik has stepped up for them. Guys like AJ Minter, and they've had guys this postseason that are pitching well, and that's what we talk about a lot. We talk about pitching is going to take you a long way in the postseason. And especially bullpen, when you don't have, there's only so many Max Scherzers that can go around. So having guys to come out of the bullpen and hold a lead or keep a game from getting ugly, that's really important. And that's what's helping them so far. And, I think this is just, the sport of baseball is just crazy. I mean, to me, saying that now the Red Sox are going to have a lead in this series. They're beating the Astros 9-3, unless anything crazy happens. To say that the Red Sox and the Braves will be leading the championship series in each league. I mean, if you told me that a month ago or 2 months ago, I would have been like, come on, really? The Red Sox, were fighting for a wild card spot. The Braves were playing 500 ball the whole year up until about August. So it just proves you got to get in, and then, you get hot at the right time, you're in the right spot. And listen, this could easily still be a Dodgers appearance in the World Series, but the fact that they're there and they're playing the baseball they are right now, it's crazy.
Let's switch over to Dodgers. It's been surprising. Their bats really haven't been. They haven't woke up yet this series. They weren't fantastic against the Giants. They were facing really good pitching, but they couldn't come alive against the Giants either, other than a couple of games there. But I think that's the craziest part. Also, the way Dave Roberts has used his pitching has been interesting. You got a lot of money tied in to this roster, the pitching staff, and again, I'm kind of on board with the analytics here and how he does it. He used the bullpen game one. It worked. They gave up 2 runs until the ninth. It worked. They've got a great bullpen. And Max Scherzer did not have it. He admitted it. He said his arm was dead. He was only hitting, 91, 92, 93 with his 4-seam fastball in game 2. And they pulled him in the 5th. And he went to his bullpen again. But, I hope they don't overwork this bullpen. They used Julio Urias in that game. When is he going to start? You have Buehler going in game 3, but what are we doing here?
I think they're feeling the
game
effects.
6.
I think they're feeling the effects of no Kershaw. And obviously the loss of Trevor Bauer months ago,
Yeah.
but this rotation is a little shorthanded right now. And like you said, you're seeing them do a couple bullpen days. But, if I had to assess this team's problems, you said they've done a pretty good job, the pitching staff. It's the hitting this series. They haven't really been hitting that well. And that needs to change, especially, now they're going home. So they'll probably feel a little more comfort at home hitting. But it's a must-win game 3. I mean, there's no such thing as a must-win game. You're always in it until you're done, but this is about as close to must-win as you can get. I mean, you don't want to go down 3-0. There's only one team that's come down back from 3-0, so you're going to just dig yourself in an even deeper hole.
Right. They could do this down 2-0. You had mentioned it about the when the Red Sox won. You said, when you have these series, the one seed gets the first 2 at home, then the lower seed gets 3 at home, and then the last 2 are back to the higher seed. You said that's actually an advantage for the team that has the lower seed.
Yeah.
And you're right, especially when it comes in the Red Sox case. But here, I think there's so much pressure on the Dodgers. These are the only 3 games you're getting at home. I hope they don't feel this pressure. Oh, we got to win all 3.
Right.
Just take it game by game. You'd love to win all 3, but you can't go into this thinking that. I think the Dodgers are going to come back.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. I think they're going to come back and win the series.
I would not be surprised at all. And we saw them do it last year, and they could definitely do it again. I mean, you're down 2, you got to go 4-1 in your next 5 games, and this Dodgers team won 106 games in the regular season. That's not as hard of a task compared to other teams. But yeah, like I said, and like you just repeated with the whole format, this isn't the NBA where it's a 2-2, 1-1-1 format for home field advantage. It's 2-3-2. So when we're talking about the Red Sox, you split that series in Houston. Guess what? Now series is even. You got 3 home games. There's more pressure on Houston to, they got more on them to win some of these games and bring it back to Houston. But LA is in a different position. They dropped the first 2 games, but like we said, this team can easily come back in this series. I would like to see the Braves make it. At the same time, I am a Yankees fan, so I don't want to see the Astros or especially the Red Sox win. So maybe the Dodgers would give them a little more of a hard time. But at the end of the day, the best team's going to make it. The best team playing at that time is going to make it. So I'm not going to get caught up in it. And it would be nice to see some guys like Freddie Freeman and others make an appearance in the World Series.
Hey, your boy Freddie Freeman. Yeah, I think again the biggest surprise here is the way the Dodgers, the lack of offense.
Yeah,
they got to pick it up. So we'll see. Let's there was something else I wanted to say. I was getting a call here, and I'm looking at my phone, but let me get off of that. Let me go back and let me see if I can think of what I was going to say. Give myself 5 seconds, and if I can't think,
let's go to Red Sox Astros, and if it comes back, it comes back.
All right. Red Sox and Astros are playing right now. Series tied 1-1. The Red Sox are up 9-3. Kyle Schwarber hit a grand slam in the second inning.
It's now 9. Oh, sorry, I looked at the score from the other day. Never mind.
It's 9-3.
Yep.
Bottom 6, heading to the bottom of the 6th. Kyle Schwarber made it 6-0 with a grand slam in the second inning off of Jose Urquidy. And there is a massive problem. Houston, we have a problem because they are low on starting pitching. And I know, again, new age of baseball, starting pitching isn't, the bullpens are becoming more prominent here.
Right.
But I'm a sucker for starting pitching still. I want my team to have very good starting pitching, and I want them to have a great bullpen too. But you need starters here. You need starters to go deep into this game because you don't want to overwork that bullpen, especially in the postseason. And the Astros have just they've gotten nothing out of their starters. Jose Urquidy gives them 4 outs today. Yeah. I think Luis Garcia gave him 5 outs in game 2, and Framber Valdez was not any better in game 1. So they are running out of pitchers. They are already without their ace Lance McCullers, and I think Boston's going to run away with this.
Yeah, and just looking at the games as a whole, we looked at the season this year and we saw a lot of starting pitchers in the AL Cy Young race. We were like, these guys' ERAs are not nearly compared to the NL. And then, that's just the way it's played. The NL is usually a little bit more small ball, no DH and everything like that. And it seems like there's maybe a little more better hitters or weaker pitchers in the AL. And that's the way it's gone in the playoffs. The Red Sox outmatched the Rays and the Astros outmatched the White Sox. And now you're seeing the Red Sox outmatch the Astros. When you go over to the NL, the Braves outpitched the Brewers and the Dodgers outpitched the Giants. There were a lot of close, low-scoring games, and we see in the Braves series too, not crazy scores going on. So it's just funny the way American League Baseball is being played. We're seeing 9-10 runs scoring games, and you're not seeing that in the NL. So two different formats of baseball being played. It's going to be interesting to see when whichever pairing of these teams collide in the World Series, how the games go. But you're right. Houston's pitching has been bad. The Red Sox have been just tearing the cover off the ball. I mean, 3 grand slams in one postseason is amazing. 3 in one series is even better.
3 in 2 days.
Yeah, 3 in 2 days. So, the Red Sox, a lot of people criticize their trade deadline, but they're kind of getting the last laugh right now. I mean, you see Kyle Schwarber mashing for this team, and he still doesn't really have a position. He's playing first base, but doesn't look all that comfortable there. But it's getting the job done. And I mean, the star of the show is still Kike Hernandez. I mean, guy's batting 500 in the postseason, having a Randy Arozarena-esque postseason. So this Red Sox team, I agree with you. I think they're going to win this series.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that based off of the pitching here. Mm-hmm. And Eduardo Rodriguez had his best start. He looked fantastic today. And he went 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts.
Yeah.
It was a 3-run shot he gave up to Kyle Tucker. He's been great. He's been good for them in the postseason. He gave him a nice start against the Rays, and he's been great tonight. So, Boston looks good, but it's going to get interesting. Dusty Baker, who is probably a Hall of Fame manager, just can't. I don't know if he's going to be able to manage around how the lack of starting pitching. I don't know how it's going to be possible. I don't know who
they're going to have to outmatch the Red Sox, which is not easy to do.
It's not easy to do, but I was saying this before. I mean, they can, like they could. They're not doing it right now, but they can. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I hope it's an exciting series. I hope it goes like 6 or 7. I just don't think.
I think it will. I think it will. And I think with this Astros offense, they can keep themselves in it. They have a lot of guys who have been there and can come up with the big hits. So
I would say Carlos Correa is their best player. You'd say, right? To this year.
Yeah. This year, I'd say him or Kyle Tucker. Or Altuve's had a really good year too, Yuli Gurriel. But Kyle Tucker's had a fantastic season. He hit a 3-run home run tonight. He's had some big hits for them this postseason. So I've been really impressed with him.
I think it's pretty interesting. They bat him 5th, Correa.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Interesting. Yeah. I'd probably bat him 2nd or 3rd if I could.
Yeah. I want to maximize him as much as possible. I want to give him the maximum amount of at-bats. I find that interesting. So
I'd switch him and Bregman. I'd also, Michael Brantley, he had a good year for them, but he didn't the power's not there. And I don't know about hitting a guy with no power 2nd. I'm not so sure about that.
It's interesting.
I would change it. I would put Brantley lead off and Altuve 2nd.
And Correa
because 3rd. I'm a believer in, there's a kind of a stereotype for leadoff hitters in baseball where you have to be fast. I'm not a believer in that. I think
once you get on base.
I mean, yeah, you just got to get on base. I mean, it's nice to have a Trey Turner, a guy who can bat 330 and also can steal 50 bags. But how often do you come around that? So I'd rather put a guy with more pop and Altuve in the 2-hole and put Brantley lead off than the other way around. But
yeah, I like that. I would go Brantley 1, Altuve 2, Correa 3, Alvarez 4, Bregman 5.
I'd go Gurriel 5, Bregman 6.
Bregman 6. Where's Tucker?
Oh, I forgot about Tucker. You know what? I'd put Brantley towards the bottom of the lineup.
And Tucker higher?
Yeah, because I like Brantley. He's a guy who can he can have professional at-bats. He hits over 300. He doesn't have the pop. But
So
you
does
know,
Gurriel,
he could be a bit of pain in the ass at the bottom of the lineup. I like him towards the bottom.
All right. Well, listen, after we're done, we'll call Dusty Baker up and we'll let him know we've got a
Right.
new
We'll be like, what
lineup
are you doing,
construction
Dusty?
for him. Very quickly, Major League Baseball is going to provide housing for the minor leaguers starting in 2022. That is big news. It is long overdue.
It is about time.
The next thing is higher salaries because a lot of these guys are below the poverty line of what they're making. So, okay, nice start, but let's keep going here.
Right. Agreed. You know, baseball is a different sport compared to any other. There's a lot of players within organizations, multiple levels. You know, more than there's international leagues, there's single A, double A, triple A, there's rookie ball, there's a lot. So nice to see that these guys are making, you know, nothing basically. And there was a picture of somebody put it on Twitter, it got retweeted of sitting in an apartment with you know,
sleeping bags,
sleeping
7-8
bags.
guys.
There's actually, interestingly, a kid in my class who is a minor leaguer. He's about 29 years old, and he's in a single A or double A for the Minnesota Twins, something like that. And you know, he's going to school right now, and that's a guy who's, you know, playing baseball, working on his craft, and also taking classes because, you know, he doesn't have a fallback on baseball, and he's not going to be set for a long time or even set for right now playing minor league baseball. So
Yeah,
it's nice to see, you know, these guys aren't like major leaguers where they play for 6 months, they go home, enjoy times with their families. You know, they play 6 months, they go home, and they, you know, they bust dishes or, you know, are Uber drivers or whatever hustle they can do to make some money. They're regular people. So it's nice to see that, you know, the major league teams that make millions and billions of dollars can finally provide some help for these guys.
yeah, like it's disgusting that it hasn't been done already, and the salaries definitely have to go up. It's crazy that some, you know, this is guys living out their dreams and they have to go through this. So hopefully they continue. There's a lot of, you know, groups that, you know, really advocate for minor league players, and they're doing a good job, and they got to continue to do that. Before we wrap up, I just want to bring up, like, you know, a lot of, you know, as a Mets fan, I've dealt with it my whole life. Mets fan with Boston Red Sox hat on. I've dealt my whole life, you know, people saying, "Oh, LOL Mets, LOL Mets," and yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You know, it could be fun, but I don't like when it's not actually LOL Mets and mainstream media wants to make up, you know, these, you know, analogies. Oh, well, they screwed this up and they screwed this up. You know, I read a tweet today from Buster Only that, you know, that said the Mets have had, you know, known for months they need to hire somebody to be president of baseball operations, and the fact that they're not even close, you know, is a massive problem. It just shows how where the organization is. Buster, let me ask you something. Is postseason over yet?
No, I'm Buster now. No, it's not over.
You're Buster.
Yeah.
Did the World Series? We even at the World Series yet?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so like, what are we doing? I thought you were a good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is in Buster Olney's head or not, but you know, there's people you want to hire. It's not like, you know, you go to the GM store and it's like, oh, I'll take this guy. Yeah, he knows analytics, this and that. Like, a lot of the people you want to hire, guess what? They're involved in baseball. They're in front offices for other teams. And the people you usually want to hire are the people that are in front offices for good teams. And guess where the good teams are right now? In the postseason. So yeah, I'm actually not a hater of Buster Olney. He's written a lot of decent columns in my opinion, but that is a really bad take.
He's interesting.
I don't know what he's trying to say right there. That's like I always complain about Rich Cimini, the writer of the Jets, where he does the same thing. He's always trying to say same old Jets and trying to pick out the bed and everything. That is an example of that.
Buster Olney has good sources. He's interesting. He's got some good news. And, you know, when he's on the Michael K show, he's interesting. I tend to listen to him. But, man, when he hates on the Mets, it's something. The Mets have struck out on David Stearns, obviously. David Stearns is under contract for 2 more years. So they were denied permission to talk to him. Billy Beane. I don't know if they were denied permission to talk to him, but Billy Beane did not want to come across, you know, the country, to work day-to-day operations with the New York Mets. He hasn't worked day-to-day operations in a while.
Right.
He said no. And Theo Espine was a long shot. He likes his job with the commissioner's office. So it looks like, oh, the Mets struck out. It was pretty difficult.
These weren't big candidates, and they went to other teams. These were kind of long shots. We knew it was going to take a lot of convincing to get Theo Epstein out of his role with Major League Baseball. Billy Beane, that's a guy who's already has a job. He's not sitting around waiting for somebody to hire.
He's also the part owner of the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
So, the Mets are going to hire. The Mets are going to hire somebody, and I'm actually excited about this because I want to hire the next Billy Beane. I want to hire the next Theo Espine.
Right.
And the guy that they hire has all the opportunities to do it. Money, prospects, full roster control. Like, you could become a star. Yeah. You could become a star with this job. So I can't stand that. That's all I want to say on it. I'm excited. I would love if it was able to get done soon. It's a process. It's a very long one. So I hope it gets done as quickly as possible, but don't rush the decision. Hire the right guy. I'm done.
100%. And hire the right manager.
Yeah. So I'm not even thinking about that yet. Basketball season starts tomorrow, but we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
And I'm not really. There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy the MLB postseason going on this week. I'm excited for tomorrow. We got 2 games Tuesday. So very excited for that. Anything you got to say?
Nope. Shout out Derrick Henry. You're winning me my fantasy game right now. Thank you.
Yeah, please. 6-0. Yeah.
Yep.
Wait until next week. 6-1, baby.
Yeah.
I'm coming. All right. We'll talk to you guys next time.